And welcome everybody back to the show. We're out here for another great talk, another good hour of conversation. We're switching it up a little bit, bringing out a close family member, my brother-in-law. He's into some things, some hobbies that I find pretty interesting, and one of them is 3D printing. And we're going to be diving into the world today of 3D printing and talking about, the benefits of it and what we should be looking forward to in the future with 3D printing and how it's impacting humanity. And so today we have my brother, Greg Kukulka, on the show with us today. And he's an active Coast Guard member, 3D printer enthusiast, video game enthusiast, computer builder. He does a lot of stuff. Got a lot of skills that this man does, and he keeps our waters safe. But we're out here today to talk about some of the things that he's interested in and what keeps him going through his everyday activities. And so without further ado, Greg, welcome to the show, man.
What's up? I'm Greg. I like to call myself a tinkerer.
A tinkerer. Well, hey, you definitely make some cool stuff, and you keep us safe. So salute to you, brother. And yeah, man, we have him out here on the show today. Just a little appreciation for our military, and switching it up, man. Because you know what? Honestly, aside from what he does from us to keep us safe, he actually is into some really really cool stuff. So today we're talking about 3D printing. And one of his hobbies and what keeps him sane throughout the course of his life. And he's actually brought out some really, really cool pieces today that we're looking at that he's done. His first print right here, which is it's the Good Luck Cat, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the little Good Luck Cat, which was, I guess, it was like kind of like a print they give you with the machine he has. And he was like one of the first people to me, too, that I did know that actually has gotten like some 3D printing equipment, which is kind of cool, and is actually making stuff. He made me an Oreo Cookie Grinder, which is pretty dope, so I'd be using that all the time. I saw it on Instagram and I sent it to him, and he found the print and he made it. And it's crazy because these prints are so readily available on the internet. I mean, dude, you can print anything. And that's what was crazy too. I knew you could print stuff, but once he started showing me and telling me more about it, like, it's literally insane. Like right now above the mic, what would you call this?
It's actually made by a guy named Flexi Factory. Any 3D print fans that you have out there should definitely check him out. He's an amazing creator. But this is his Flexi articulated skeleton out of Sunlu's color change PLA. Mm-hmm. And it's just a little ornament that I made to hang in my car for the Halloween season, and now he's going to be a year-round thing.
Yeah, so we have him hanging above the mic today for good luck. We got a few characters sitting around the table today. We got the Charizard sitting here. You can do Pokémon characters. I mean, you literally you can do so much with 3D printing.
You can 3D print upgrades to your own printer. That's actually what this is. This
really?
is a 3D printed. It's a failed print, so I had to kind of slice it and print it in a different way. But it's a camera mount. So out of the front end of my thing, I could stick the webcam on and get those cool little time-lapse videos that I've sent you and shown you.
Yeah, definitely. And make sure you follow him, too, on his TikTok. What's your TikTok for the audience?
Cyanide Shadow, 2 S's. Cyanide spelled with an S.
Definitely. And make sure, because he's got all his time-lapse videos of everything he does. And he also, too, has a live stream when he's printing, too, with his Twitch. And it's also Cyanide Shadow, too, right?
Correct.
Same.
On all social medias.
All social media, Cyanide Shadow with 2 S's. And, yeah, he's actively out here in the 3D printing community, and it's pretty cool too. Like what I find interesting about with the 3D printing is how cheap and renewable it is. Yep. Like, can you tell the audience more about what the material that's involved with 3D printing and what material you're using?
So there's 4 common materials for 3D printing. You have PLA, which is polylactic acid. PETG, which I can't remember what it stands for, but it's more for your outdoor prints that need to sustain to the sun. You have TPU, which is more for like people are actually printing dresses and shit out of this stuff, and that's your TPU is more for flexible stress balls, dresses, things like that. And then there's ABS, which is your hardcore plastic, like something that you're printing that you want to stand up to stress. People print like engine parts out of this stuff. Right now,
wait, they print engine parts,
like engine like spacer rings and things like that.
Oh,
things
like
that need to sustain to temperature and to repeated abuse.
Could you even do like inner dash parts or inner mirrors or little
like those little plastic clips that hold your headlights on. People print those things pretty regularly,
like things that are hard to get that may even be discontinued from the manufacturer.
Yeah. So the wonderful thing about 3D printing, as I was kind of explaining to you off mic earlier, is it's an additive process, and what that means is like take carpentry, right, where you're building a piece of you're building a wall or a box, right? You have to take this piece of lumber and figure out how much I want to cut off to make what I want to make. Well, 3D printing is the opposite. It's additive, so there's little to no waste when it comes to building something. And so you just have to figure out how much plastic I want to put in where. But it also functions in the same way as I can design something in, OpenCAD or Onshape or, Tinkerbox or what, any of these websites. I can go in and click, drag, and design and create my own thing. Like you said, there's files and things you can find all sorts of places. But if I would look around my house and go, oh, I need a spatula real quick, or oh, I need a teaspoon, I can go design a teaspoon and print it and have one in a couple hours.
You could like literally design a cutting board, or like could you make cookware?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't because the plastic is kind of porous. It's porous plastic.
Are there certain things you do want to stay away from though when it comes to 3D printing?
A good rule of thumb is anything that you're going to eat with. You probably
anything you're going to put in your body.
Yeah, some of the plastics are porous, so they can get germ infested really quick. You're basically making a single use at that point, which isn't a huge deal because, as I said, off mic earlier, that the plastics are pretty renewable. It's the same plastic that they make water bottles and all that stuff out of. So.
Definitely. So PLA is the most common.
Yeah, PLA and PETG. And you can find both of those in your like Coke bottles, your Mountain Dew bottles, whatever. So all those people out there buying double XP Coke bottles for the COD weekend, you can recycle those and turn them into little trinkets and stuff to keep around your house. Yeah,
but how many people though are set up to do that?
I mean, I am.
Oh, okay. If you are, you are. So yeah, so it's all a matter of how set up you are. But anyhow, see, it's very interesting. Like. I feel like too, like, can you? Also, you can answer this. What's the deal with them printing houses?
So it works on a giant like gantry crane almost, but I mean it's the same setup that you would find like on my household printer, the one that I have sitting on my shelf.
Yeah,
it's the same setup, just scaled up. And instead of using plastic, they pour concrete through the mold, wet concrete, and as they pour, the machine just moves and dots its lines, and they're super cool looking, honestly.
Have you seen a fully 3D printed house, or have you watched anything?
I mean, I've seen tons of YouTube videos. Dude, they're even 3D printing with metal now. Like, I just found that out recently. Yeah, they're using it's some sort of way that it heats it up it's like this powder that goes through and it heats up and it deposits metal into certain spots. And it's crazy. Like,
so like even like steel, or what kind of
it's steel. Like so, a few years ago they came out with PLA that's integrated with like steel powder, so you can spray it and it'll give that rusted look to your prints, which I think is really cool. But no, this stuff is like actual like welded, almost 3D printed.
Well, it just replicates like almost like real life like steel work.
Yeah. I mean, it is. There's
with 3D printing, like how far do you see it going, and do you feel like it's a technology that could be adapted in humanity?
Oh, it's the limits to what 3D printing can do are the limits of our imagination. Honestly, like, I mean, even just playing with the plastics. There's so much stuff that I can create on the daily basis that I look and go, oh, I need this clip here. I need Janet needed planters for her garden, so I printed her some planters. Like,
literally anything.
Yeah, anything you can think of, you can.
Well,
make.
I saw a guy online that 3D printed a bunch of guns and went to a buyback program and made a bunch of money off 3D printed guns he made.
I mean, it's possible. There's a whole community out there. It's called 2A printing. I'm not a part of it, but there's a whole community of people out there that trade, uppers, lowers, like designs and parts for all of these things. And as long as you can take accurate measurements of something, you can make it.
Yeah.
I mean, they even, like, to throw out the new Call of Duty, And to throw out some spoilers, your end scene with no Russian, there's a 3D printed gun in it. Like,
see right there. A game is integrating 3D printing even into its gameplay.
It's a thing, man. I mean, there's like you can print parts to your own printer. Like, I needed to move a bracket on.
How durable? Like, what about like hardware, like bolts?
It depends on the plastic that you print it out of. If you were trying to print like I've made screws on this to mount my like webcam before, and it works just fine. It holds my webcam in place, but repeated use, it'll break down. A PLA will break down. Mm-hmm. From what I've read, I've never messed with printing TPU or ABS yet. I'm still fairly new with the stuff. I've only been doing it for about a year. But you can print TPU, and ABS is the more durable. Like your pop filter bracket, if you needed to make that screw again, you could absolutely print that screw.
Really?
Yeah. And it's not hard to design on like Open or Onshape or Tinkercad. You can just go on, get the millimeter.
So you gotta get like that thing where you have to scan the object.
No, I can design that on a website.
Like, and where is that from like your experience like in the military, or is that your everyday experience?
So I know what CAD is because of my experience in the military.
Yeah.
And blueprint reading and things like that. But I'm actually learning how to use it on my own, just through YouTube videos. There's a guy out there teaching tech. He has a lot of really good YouTube. For anybody who's interested in this stuff, I recommend him and Chep, and they're like the two guys that really got me started. I mean, I'm completely self-taught with it, and the community is amazing.
So how long can you say you've been 3D printing like actively, like when you made the jump to do it?
I bought the printer last February, or this most recent February. Okay. So I've only been printing since then, and I mean, I've learned how to diagnose the printer. I know every part on the printer, and that's not because necessarily I felt that I needed to, but the information's out there. It's there's no reason not to.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's crazy too. It's because like I remember all of a sudden you were like, "Hey man, like I'm just doing this 3D printing." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
they're fairly like they're fairly what's the word I'm looking for? Non-expensive. I mean, like $200 and you can have a fully working printer. Like,
and is that everything you need to get going?
Yep,
like
that's everything you need to get going.
But on what scale? What's the largest scale you can produce on?
So me right now, I'm about 8" by 8" is my bed. 8" by 8" by 8.5". So as long as it stays within that scale, I can print it. But you can buy like any Cobra Max. I want to say is like 15 or 12 inches by 12 inches by 12.5 or something like that.
Definitely.
I mean, you can get sizable parts like. I can print the Charizard that you're holding right there. I can print that probably twice the size.
Can you print this max scale on your fucking thing? How big would it be?
I want to say I did. I printed the biggest one that I could. It's actually at my work right now. It sits above my desk and. But yeah, no, it
is there a Venusaur print?
I mean, I'm sure you can find one. I haven't worked on making the articulated stuff yet. I actually bought that file on Colts 3D, and it costs me probably $1, maybe $2 in filament to print, and I can turn and sell it for about $30. But yeah, there's other Pokemons on there. I have the whole Charizard evolutionary line, the Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard.
And which one's this right here that you brought?
That's another Flexi Factory Flexi T-Rex print. There's also a Triceratops and a Brontosaurus too.
This one's cool. I like this one. This one goes hard.
It's full. It's another like Sunlu filament print, and it goes from blue to greens.
Yeah, he's got the Charizard. He's got these amazing this one's sold that he has here. I'm looking at, and then this one was one that you made, but it's like it got messed up, right?
Yeah, so like the rib cage is kind of broke. I didn't have my printer dialed in right, and that's the one hard part about 3D printing is maintenance, upkeep. Like when you buy a printer, you have to be ready for a ton of maintenance.
So what is the maintenance? Like, what kind of knowledge do you have to have for maintenance? Like, are there people out there, like, say you don't want to deal with that, are there people that you can bring it to? Are there...
No.
There's not. It's not established like that yet.
No. So, like, a big one that you have to do just about every single time you print, there are people out there who say that you don't, but you really, really should, is leveling your bed or tramming your bed. You have to make sure that your bed is the same distance from your nozzle in all four corners, so that way when the printer moves around, it deposits the filament
evenly.
Evenly,
Yeah.
yes. And that's a big one. There's like 4 screws on the corner of each plate that you do that with. There are things out there that can help you with it. Like there's 2 established. There's a CR Touch and a BL Touch. They're basically the same thing, but they digitally measure your bed, and it'll do that before each print and kind of account for any inconsistencies.
Could you max scale that grinder you made me?
Yeah, I can make you a giant grinder.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can make... It would probably be... I want to say it'd probably be like 6 inches across by 6 inches
We're going to
across.
get that on the record. I think we need to do it.
That's going to be a long print, man.
Yeah, but hey, I'm willing to pay, man. That was a donation, the first one. If you could do it, I'm sitting here thinking now all the crazy shit because, see, that's the thing I like about this is the 3D printing. It makes your mind wander. And, like...
It's, like, not just, like... Are the options limitless? Dude, I can't tell you how many times I've just stood there and stared at it while it was printing for, like, 30, 40 minutes. Just getting locked in because it's mesmerizing, man.
It is.
Like,
I remember the first time I saw it, I was almost like scared of the damn machine. And you're like, you can look at it. And I was like, nah, I don't want to get near it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to break it. Because it is such a mesmerizing process and there's so much going on. You don't want to mess it up, Like, I don't want to be responsible. Maybe you're like, that's like a $5 million print. On that, like you're gonna get up out the mud with that, like I don't want to fuck up your grind, like
not yet, we're getting there.
Yeah, but
the real money, honestly, for 3D printing is in the designing.
Yeah,
because think about it, right? Like the guy that made this Flexi Factory, right? That print cost me for the rights to print and to sell, right? I can sell that print on Etsy or whatever, right? Because I had to buy the rights for it, but that guy designed that one time, so that amount of time, whatever it was that he spent designing that product in, I don't know what program he uses, but, let's just use Onshape, right? Because that's the one I'm learning on, right? It's a free program. I paid no money. Say I spent 3 hours designing that and I sell it for $2, right?
Yeah. But you sell it.
And 100 people buy that, right?
Yeah.
That's
$200.
$200 for what did it cost me?
Barely
time.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
So my $200 for 2 hours, and then it sits on a website forever, right?
Yeah.
And then,
it keeps getting bought. It's a reoccurring buy. It's passive income.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate passive.
And the more of a community that you build, the bigger your name gets, the more that you can charge.
This dude at Flexi Factory, like I said, I absolutely recommend his prints because he's got some really cute, really awesome prints that he makes.
They're seasonal.
They're awesome. They're great quality prints. They work on any printer. They're amazing.
Yeah, it definitely looks like this guy's taking the time to put in some work.
Look at that skeleton's face.
I know. I know. He's got missing teeth. He's got one eye bigger than the other. He's all like, "What's up, cuz?" Oh, we out here. He's a Okie, man. We got the Okie skeleton as the guest co-host. He ain't saying much. He's just here. He's dead. So,
he's hanging.
Yeah, he's hanging. Hey!
He's hanging.
He's hanging for sure. But, yeah, no, we're out here. We're keeping it rolling. We're back learning about 3D printing. And, man, so far it seems like it's just like you said, it's limitless. It's limitless.
It's crazy the amount of things that people are doing with it. Like you said, the houses, the metal, the welding, 3D printed houses. Like, I can't get over that one. Like, it's as mesmerizing to watch that.
How durable are they?
They're just as durable as a regular. It's concrete. It's a concrete house.
But isn't there?
And they run through, and so the way it works, from what I understand, is they run your line, and then they sink rebar, and then they run their line, and then they sink rebar. Oh no!
Kit Kat down.
But yeah, so they're like, good luck demoing that house,
Well, because I don't know, I'm just sitting here thinking then you have a concrete house, do they just do the same thing? Do they do the interior with the drywall and all that?
They just Tapcon the drywall right to the concrete.
How is it insulated?
It doesn't need it. It's concrete. It's insulated just like an Adobe house is. It's not. It stays hot during the winter and it stays cold during the summer because your temp's just trapped. And then, they run in your wall, they run your plumbing and all of that stuff as you go. And then, your HVAC system. So, but I mean, concrete is one of the best insulators. That's why your foundations on your houses are concrete.
And we're sitting on concrete right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, for instance, what I've learned, especially with concrete, I know that you're a carpenter and you do all your construction stuff in your branch. Isn't it like concrete, though, it has to be level and it has to be laid a certain way because if not, it will crack,
well, that's what the rebar.
Shift.
That's what the rebar and then the relief cuts and things like that.
And how they lay it out?
Yeah. It's the way it's designed. Like I said, it's a fascinating process to watch.
Yeah.
I've seen it more than a few YouTube videos, and it's mind-blowing, man.
Yeah.
And then you see the finished house, and it's got all the layer lines. When you look at a 3D print, you can see the different little layer lines that the print does, but you can see that on the concrete, too, and it creates this really cool, really unique...
It's almost like texture from the print.
Yeah, it's crazy. You get this really cool, unique design. And you can make it, too, where, how does when they're designing a house... Yep.
What kind of architecture, say for an architecture, does that change, the way an architecture designs a house?
I'm not sure.
Like what I'm saying, so you have general architecture, right? And they design a house, and they lay it out. It's designed to be built like how we build houses.
You mean when you build a wall, you have to put all your stuff.
How do you make a blueprint, or how does an architect design something like that?
I think it's the limit of your imagination. Honestly, I don't know, but I feel
what would the code or what would be this what would the architect have to do, or how would they have to design to lay that out?
I mean, honestly,
because you say you have a guy that
you could print that giant scale out of concrete, and that could be your house.
Well, no, I understand that, but I'm saying you have everyday people that make these designs. What kind of who gets the clear to design these prints to print these houses?
I'm not sure yet. Honestly.
And are there people actively living in 3D printed houses?
Yeah, there are. There's a whole town, I want to say in North Carolina. There's a whole town of 3D printed houses.
And how many people live there?
I'm not 100%. I don't want to give false information,
but there are people that do live in concrete printed 3D houses.
I mean, there's people who live in Connex boxes.
I mean,
those shipping containers. There are people who turn those into houses.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, it's crazy, the world we live in and the amount of things that we can do. It's amazing.
The world is limitless.
That's why I like being a tinkerer.
Yeah, as he said from the beginning, he's a tinkerer. Yeah, he likes to build stuff, and he's good with his hands. And he brought a lot of cool gifts. But yeah, no, that's I don't know. I'm very interested to see where it goes, and it's got my mind captivated because it was brought to my attention when I was in high school, and I always talked to people about it, and no one understood it, and then it's just become more and more prevalent in the last you would say 4 to 5 years.
I mean, like I said, I first heard about it, I want to say in 2019 when one of the guys I worked with bought a printer, and he kind of struggled with it. It was a pretty sizable
project,
because the community wasn't there. But I picked mine up in February, and I'm not an expert by any means, but there are Facebook support groups for it. You can hop in, and it's called 3D Print Rescue. You can hop in there and ask them just about any question, and they'll ask for more information if they need it, but they can usually help you troubleshoot your system. Yeah,
because everybody has their own knowledge and their own experience with the category.
And every printer's just a little bit different. I have an Ender 3 V2, but I have a Sprite Pro extruder on mine, so it's different than the guy who just went down the street and bought an Ender 3 V2, right? And each printer is a little different, will have a little different character because every printer is shipped in a box, and you open it and you build it yourself.
Damn, what's crazy, I'm looking here right now, I just started spacing out. And just, he's got the skeleton that we have hanging, and it's, right at the joints. How is this thing able to know that it's got to, detach from what it's printing, but then,
So it operates off of this So when you design or you buy a file or you download a file, you download what's called an STL file.
Mm-hmm.
You put that STL file into a thing called a slicer.
Mm-hmm.
And that slicer converts that file, that object type file, into coordinates. And those coordinates get put in your printer, and your printer learns, like once you start that file, it goes, I need to move from X1 or X1, Y1 to Z1, Y13 and deposit filament. Mm-hmm. And then like it tells it how to do that.
It's just like code, like a computer.
Yeah,
almost.
and like I said, since it's an additive process, the backside of this skeleton is where it starts, and then it builds that way. So it builds towards the
Could
face
you
of it.
not to get off topic here, but we're asking fun questions. Could you see like some kind of powerful entity like in the future printing people?
I don't know.
Because they print body parts.
I mean,
in hospitals.
Yeah, they do. They
do you think you could see like some kind of government or some kind of somebody like doing...
I mean, are we talking like iRobot?
Maybe, yeah, but iRobot, but like 3D printed people.
I mean, I don't know that they would ever be able to get the fidelity of like you and I face to face, but
what if they started like, say like people died, right? And they were able to 3D print these bodies, and they were able to fill them with like organs, like if they had a good brain, right?
I mean, so we're going altered carbon up in here.
Right? Is that what that is?
I mean, it's possible.
I mean, humanity...
We're talking like 60, 70, 80 years
that's
in the
like
future.
Crazy. That's like crazy stoner thoughts.
I mean,
there.
It blows my mind. Like, just think about it. Like, I'm in my 30s, my mid 30s, right?
Yeah.
I remember a time when the internet wasn't prevalent in people's homes.
Yes.
Like, I remember a time when, like, in order to log on to the internet, you had to make sure your mom wasn't calling her Aunt Susie or whatever, and you had to listen to that screech noise, right?
Yeah.
And now we're sitting here talking about I make things out of plastic in my home on a machine that is connected to my Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Like it blows my mind like how far technology has come in our lifetime. And the like as we said with 3D printing, it's limitless. Like where it could go if somebody takes the time to figure it out. I'm sure like NASA is involved in 3D printing.
That's scary.
Like
that's fucking scary.
NASA
well, they can alter weather. You ever see that?
No.
Oh my God. Like literally they have machines where it emits out clouds and like it goes out into the atmosphere and it changes the pressure and it can create weather patterns in a matter of like a half hour it could be pouring rain.
Send that shit to California.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I kind of was like, why? I've seen it. It's on the internet. It's for the public to fucking see. We need water. Come build one of those out here.
I mean, I would assume it has to pull the water from somewhere.
I don't know. It's some kind of shit that they emit. It's some machine that makes these like clouds that go out into the atmosphere and react with the molecules in the air. It's a science, bro. It's some shit out of our league. But all I know is that NASA, if you're 3D printing, man, we know you. I mean, WD-40 was invented by NASA. Like, I mean, we use that more. Everyone, the rednecks out there fucking hooting and hollering. I'll get some WD-40, brother. I mean, that shit literally was invented by NASA to separate water molecules on the moon. And now it's used for like
every mechanic uses I use WD-40.
I have a can I'm staring at right now as we do this interview. 2 cans, as a matter of fact.
Two cans?
2 cans. That'd be a good like rip on 2 Chains or something. Just like
that's what I was trying to go for.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but it's just limitless, man. It's crazy out here. Like there's a lot of shit that NASA's doing too. Like I remember my buddy, it was kind of like daunting. I didn't even know this. It's out here in LA somewhere. I forget where we're near Pasadena. NASA has some laboratory out here, and it's big, like really big. And we went and dropped off our friend at this church, and we're like pulling up, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna go to this lookout. I want to show you something." And he doesn't tell me what it is, right? And like we get out of his car and we go and we walk out to this little lookout around the corner. And it's this massive NASA building with this huge logo. And in the back of my head, I'm like, what the hell is NASA doing out here? And I'm just sitting thinking, no rhyme or reason. I'm like, and he's like, hey, there's high security. And then you look down, and just it's true. Like there's something going on in that building. It's like what if you can get to space, I mean, what else can you do, man? Like shit, they're probably like doing like research on monkeys and like.
I mean, those were the first things in space. So
yeah, I mean, hey, power to you.
Monkeys.
Do you see like what do you see NASA doing with 3D technology?
I'm not exactly sure what it is that they're doing. I just know I saw some article about how they are 3D printing different things for spaceships and stuff. Like they're using because it's plastic and renewable and easy to make.
And it's a good look for them, right?
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about reducing a company's carbon emission, 3D print shit. Like it's recyclable at the end of the day.
What is it going to take to convince big corporations to go along those lines?
Renewability and limiting maintenance. Machines that can do, like, dude, my son brought home the other day some toy he bought at the store that I have a STL file on my computer and could have just made him. Really? But he bought it at the store because he thought it was like this little slug that makes this noise when you move it. It's like...
And you had a file for it.
Yeah.
Well, did they understand that you can make them whatever they want? Or like...
Yeah, but...
Is it the nostalgia of them going to the store and buying it?
Sometimes it's their kids and they see it at the store and they're like, ooh, I want that. Like, the immediacy of it. They don't have to sit and wait 16 to 32 hours for me to make something. Like, I would assume that's the amount of maintenance needed to run a printer or a print farm, as they call people with multiple printers, and the time it takes to actually make something, that's where...
That's what I was going to say. Even the little thing that you made me, it took like 2 or 3 days.
I mean, so it took 2 or 3 days because I broke one. I failed. I had a couple failed prints, and I don't like to sell things that aren't perfect. Mm-hmm. You know, like if I'm putting my name on it and giving it to somebody, it's got to be functional and good, and like that's just how I am. Like that T-Rex right there. I mean, you would say what? He's about 6 inches tall, right? If that,
I would say maybe like 4 to 5, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
I have a tape measure right there. Here, let me see it.
Let's find this out.
Yeah, we're gonna on set. We're gonna measure how tall.
Damn, 4.5 inches.
I was right. I was 4 to 5.
How long is the snout to tail? Snout to tail.
7.5.
Yeah, so that took me, I want to say 16 hours.
So there you go. So for a 7.5 by 4.5 piece, yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's just like a day of time,
yep.
You know.
For one, like
yeah, on a smaller scale though. So it's not like I mean, how long though does it take to print one of those houses? Back on that.
So it's there are ways to speed it. Like I could probably cut this down from 16 hours to probably closer to 8 if I used a bigger nozzle and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. But that would reduce it would make your layer lines way more visible. Like you look at that, you can hardly see the lines. You have to like actually look to see them, right? So if I did a bigger nozzle, you would have more layer lines. You would see them because it's putting a thicker line of filament down each time, but it would speed it up. And so the 3D printed concrete houses, they have these fucking giant nozzles, man. And I'm talking like
I know
my fist and arm could fit in it.
Yeah,
like,
they're huge. Yeah.
So I honestly don't know how long it takes, but I've seen one do like a pass and do like 6 inches thick of concrete for a whole house on the outside, and it took less than 10 minutes. And we're talking like a 3-bedroom ranch style house. And
yeah, bigger than this house.
Yeah, it just 6 inches grew on your house in 10 minutes.
Damn, that's crazy. I just find it insane. Like I don't know. I think if there are, how much does it cost? You think?
I have no idea.
Because concrete though, is it like? Because concrete has a footprint, carbon footprint. I mean, how much concrete you think you got to lay down for a house? How much metric tons?
A lot, but
it's more than just a foundation on a house. But,
yeah, but I wouldn't say it's.
Does it even 3D print like the pitch,
the roof, and all that? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't seen the full finished, like the exterior of a full finished one. I've only seen the process of them laying it, and then seen the videos of somebody walking through the house finished, and it's like, this is what it looks like on the inside. Like,
does it look any different than from a normal house?
No, I mean you would be surprised. Like, you can get some like rounded wall shapes and things like that you can't really with lumber and drywall, and but some people like the unfinished concrete look on the inside too.
It's like the art of it too.
Yeah, I mean there's a ton of artistry to it. Like,
it depends on what kind of person you are.
Yeah, and like, I mean, it's just like somebody who likes their open gable, in their house versus somebody who likes it closed off and drywall. It just depends on the person and the homeowner.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just how you want your house. But it's interesting. I'm curious to see what something like that cost.
Yeah,
compare and contrast, like renewability.
I think it's fairly cheap. I want to say, like, I can't remember the exact number because I'm terrible with that. But I want to say when I saw them talking about a custom built house, in comparison, I want to say it was like 5 times less than like paying to build a house like your house. And you also want to talk too, like, if you're building it out of concrete, and renewability, right? Mm-hmm. What's the renewability on a regular house? You got to think of all those trees you're cutting down for all those 4x4s and all that too. So,
all the lumber and all the milling and the travel and the logistics.
So, I mean, there's a pro and con to each, and it'll probably end up coming down to each their own. Would you rather live in a 3D printed concrete house for slightly cheaper cost and maybe a bigger economic footprint, or would you rather, because you also, for that too, you got to think you have to bring out this giant crane system that moves the nozzle around. Like, well, that can't be cheap. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I mean, it's just like electric cars, right? Electric cars are supposed to be better for our environment, but
they're not.
But nobody ever talks about the lithium farms to farm the lithium for the batteries,
or what you have to do to recycle the batteries, or how bad the cars are.
So there's a give and take to everything. So
pros and cons to everything. That's just life. Because like, if you don't have a pros and con to a situation, is it really a situation?
Probably not.
Yeah. You gotta compare and contrast everything, and that's where, like, it's really cool today to talk about 3D printing and understand it a little bit more, because it seems like in the end, it is a viable source to help us, like, go a little bit longer.
I mean, so far, the best use I've heard of somebody, like, explaining what 3D printing is amazing for is prototyping. Say you have an idea, right? Like, say I want to build a doorstop that stops, bad guys from being able to get into schools during a shooter situation or something like that, right? I could 3D print it before I spend the millions of dollars to make it in metal, right? Mm-hmm. And I can 3D print it and test until I have it dead nut centered, right on, perfect, exactly what I need, and then take it to a factory to make it out of metal.
Exactly.
Like, so, and that's the best thing. It's great for making little tinker toys, like Christmas time for my kids and like for my kids' friends. It's great because I can just make them all sorts of little toys that I want, and here you go. It costs me nothing, right? And it makes their day. But it's also amazing for prototyping.
Well, and then it's amazing too, because then it's trial and error, and then it's not like you're investing a whole lot on these things that you're trying to perfect.
Exactly. It cost me $2 to make this part. Oh shit, it broke in this spot. Let's go back to the design and tinker with it a little bit.
And how can I strengthen it so it doesn't break in this spot?
Yep. Exactly.
Definitely.
And then you can just keep doing that until it's perfect, and then you make that out of plastic, and then my final product's going to be metal. Well, now I know my exact dimensions, everything I need to make it out of metal. And if you have the money, you have a metal printer. Boom! Now you just printed the thing out of metal, and you're done. Right?
Well, what would you say as a designer, or to a designer or someone trying to get into it? What would you say would be the first step you need to think about when making a design?
As far as like designing something?
Yeah, like what do you want to like make sure like is the most important thing when making your design?
Your measurements.
Yeah.
Honestly, it all comes down to, knowing your, like, if I wanted to make this, right? I would need to know exactly what I intended it for, and then grab all the appropriate measurements, and that's what it comes down to. And then whatever program you're using, having spent the time to get comfortable with it, I'm still really new to the design projects. I made a cell phone stand. That's about what I've made so far. Like, I designed my own cell phone stand, and then I designed my own cell phone case.
Is that?
No, it broke.
I'm like, damn, that looks pretty fucking good.
I could do this if I got into printing TPU and spent some time practicing. But and that's eventually where I do want to go. I want to start making things out of TPU because it's cool. It's like I said, it's the squishy silicone stuff, and people are making like full on like clothes. There was a fashion show done of just 3D printed clothes. Like,
damn.
It's amazing.
Wait, what kind of is the material for the 3D printing clothes cloth?
It's TPU. It's a type of plastic, but it's like it feels like polyester.
So it feels like cotton or like a.
And it'll feel like a polyester.
Right, it'll feel like a shirt.
Yeah,
that's trippy, man.
it's crazy.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, I wish I had pictures.
3D printed condoms.
I don't know about that one.
Ah,
Like I said, the plastic's porous, so it does have little holes. So, are you willing to trust something that's full of little holes with your swimmers there, man?
I don't know. Might find out.
More power to you.
Yeah, but Greg, it's been definitely interesting learning and getting all knowledgeable, and it seems like you're on the right path to getting to that 3D level printing that you're trying to achieve. Do you see yourself getting like a bigger machine, or are you trying to up the scale of the 3D printing like in the future once you kind of step away from the military, or are you just trying to keep it a hobby for right now?
I'm trying to make it a side hustle. So eventually my end goal is to print enough and sell enough little prints that I can buy another printer and generate a print farm that way. And then right now I work out of what's called FDM printing. I forget what the acronym stands for, but essentially it's deposited printing out of a nozzle that runs a line. But there's also resin printing, which is like a tank. You go down, you submerge this platform in a tank, and these LED diodes harden the resin and create prints that way. I would eventually like to get one of those too. Those just happen to be a little bit messier and take up a lot more space, and I don't really have that kind of space where I'm at right now. So eventually I would like to have my own little print farm, and then maybe I'll open up an Etsy shop and sell, and
start selling your work.
Yeah, and then start selling some, like, once I figure out all the design stuff, sell the designs on something like Colts 3D or something like that. Use it as a side gig type of a thing. Who knows if it gets successful enough when I retire from the Coast Guard, that could be just what I do.
Yeah, definitely. And that's that's why we're out here. We're trying to push get your name out there, share your socials, because he has all his 3D printed stuff out there. You just gotta hit him up. He literally will print you anything. Just hit him up. LA area people, all my LA fam. If you he can make you a microphone stand for your hip hop show. I mean, he could probably print you a gang of stuff, and it's a fair price too. So make sure you get it Cyanide Shadow out there on the socials, and or you can DM us too here at Hot 16's. I mean, he's my brother-in-law, so he's like a skip of a rock away from me, so it's not too hard to get a hold of him. But no, Greg, it's been fun, man. Is there anybody that you wanna shout out, or anybody you want to thank for getting you into 3D printing, or any
the person who got me into 3D printing, his name was Blas Polgarvidal. Yeah. I know that's a name, right?
Wow. Are you special ops or what? No.
No, he's just a DC like me. He's the guy who got me into it. And then, like I said, Chep, Teaching Tech, 3D Print Rescue, those guys have all been amazing as far as getting me to understanding how the machine works and helping me out as I go. So, that's my shout out.
There we go. Yeah, and with 3D printing too, do you see it has it helped you? What has it done for you? What has 3D printing personally done for you and your character, and just how you feel as a person?
It's given me an outlet to tinker, honestly. Like I said, I'm a tinkerer. I live in an apartment, so I don't have a house where I can, I want to change my sink, and go buy a new sink and do all that, because I have those skills. And I don't get to outlet that. So where 3D printing has become that outlet for me, it's given me something to oh, my printer's broken, I need to fix it, But it's also taught me new skills, like I learned how to solder. I've never had to solder before. I've gotten really good at using calipers to make those tiny millimeter measurements. Like, it's given me an outlet to tinker.
And then you've also learned more skills along the way.
Exactly. So if you're even slightly interested in 3D printing, make the jump. Yeah. Buy yourself one of the Ender 3s. They're like $100 at Micro Center, or Amazon has them on sale a lot too. If you don't like it, you're out $100 and you could probably resell it for $90. And then right? But if you get it and you fall in love with it, just be ready for a long-term hobby, because it's...
Damn. Well, hey, hobbies are fun, though. They keep us going. I mean, my hobbies... Well, obviously, we got the podcast going, and then we got golf, too. We always love golf. Golf is so fun. Hobbies are great. Hobbies keep us sane. They give us something to do.
They give us an outlet.
Exactly. And then also, too, they sometimes can turn into another job. You start something for fun, and then you're like, oh, shit, like, we're actually doing something with this, And that's always the goal, is to try to turn something into something.
Exactly.
Or, at least try to. But we're getting close to the end of the show, and we're gonna get to our big talk segment here with our guest today a little later on. We usually do it midway, but it's okay. We were having fun. We were chatting away. It's always fun to chat. You like talking?
Yeah.
He likes
Everybody likes to talk.
He likes talking. But, Greg, what I'm going to do, though, is I'm just going to grab a little gang of cards here. Or some cards here. I'm going to hopefully get them all organized the right way. Right? Okay, here we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you pick one of these cards, one of the big top cards. And, oh, look at that. Are they still all messed up?
You got them going both ways.
Oh, my God. Let's see. Oh, I got to fix this deck. Oh, literally, it was just the bottom two. Okay. Well, with that being said, we got the Big Talk deck out, and we're wrapping up the show here, so we got to make sure we get this question in here. But we're going to let Greg, I got a little, I'm going to say maybe 40, 50 cards, something like that. We're going to let him pick one here, and we're going to answer and ask all in between. So, Greg, go ahead and just get one out of the deck.
Give me that guy.
What does it say?
What are you most grateful for?
What are you most grateful for, man?
Well, so I promised I wouldn't talk about her too much because she's a very private person, but your sister.
Yeah.
I met her at a pretty pivotal point in my life, and she's given me a family, a home, a reason to get up every day. That's what I'm most grateful for.
That's awesome, man. And I'm grateful that I have you in my life, and I'm grateful that we have you on the show today, and we were able to cover a wide variety of 3D printing topics. And I'm really glad that I'm stepping out of my comfort zone and getting some different people out on this show, because honestly, in the end, yes, it's hip hop and all that, but then also too, you gotta keep it interesting.
I mean, it's hip hop, and hip hop is nothing if not art. And so is 3D printing.
Exactly. So we're an art, we're art enthused, hip hop enthused, and everything else in between. But we've had the ability to dive into a new world, and I hope everybody enjoyed learning. I think you enjoyed, talking today and telling some people about, the future of 3D printing. And I mean, NASA, those damn bastards, those motherfuckers, literally out there just fucking doing
3D printing humans.
Yeah,
heard it here first.
Come on. Yeah, you heard it here first. On God, PvP said it. Fucking 3D printed humans, bro. And I swear, if they're gonna start doing it. They're gonna start doing it. They're gonna do it. Some eye print. Instead of iRobot, call that shit iPrint. Yeah, that's right. Fucking iPrint. It's going to be a whole movement out there, and you're going to think it's your cousin Rodney, but it's really a 3D printed person.
Look for them layer lines.
Yeah, look for them layer lines on their face. If it's not acne, it's layer lines. But hey, y'all, it's been such a fun, interesting time talking and chatting and conversating with you for another hour almost, like we always do, a couple times a week. We were able to tune in today with Greg Kukulka, active member of the U.S. Coast Guard, 3D printing enthusiast, my brother-in-law. And yeah, we're just out here trying to keep it going. thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure you stay with us. Keep sharing the socials. Keep listening to the show. Keep sharing the reels. Keep following everything that we do. We're going to have more show updates, and we got more events coming up throughout the year. So please stay in tune for that. Planning more and more with more announcements coming out every day. It's been such an honor being able to talk to you, conversate with you, give you a place to just unwind. You know, whether you're out there on the grind, working away, doing your thing, out there serving your country, we're here. We're a positive platform to give you a stress relief. I'm not a therapist though. If you want to pay me for that, we can negotiate that. But Greg, is there any other final shout outs that you want to give out to the Hot 16's audience or anybody out there in the world before we sign out here for the day?
Just thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. No problem. Thank you for being on the show. It's been fun, man. I learned a lot, and I hope that the audience learned a lot too. Hey, and make sure you guys too are giving us that feedback and sliding in and letting us know what we're doing wrong or what we can do to improve ourselves. People keep telling me I need more female guests, so that's a big goal that we have. So audience and listeners too, please recommend any female artist, hip-hop artist, 3D printing female artist, just any kind of female, positive female body that we can put on the platform to promote. You know, we got to balance it out because I feel like we have had a lot of male guests for sure. So I'm listening to your request, everybody. We are not arrogant here. We are normal people. We listen. Well, to the best of our ability, we try to listen. But guys, it's been an honor. I'm going to check out here. PvP, Greg Kukulka. It's been an honor, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace, everybody.